I think, an unpopular opinion.
What's that?
I think Thanksgiving dinner is one of the most bland meals in the entire year. It's like I'm not ever crazy about it. One's like, how often do you have really good turkey? It's always dry. And I've had Thanksgivings and like different families, different friend groups, different people making the food. So, and I had 5 Thanksgivings this year, 3 Friendsgivings, and then
And would you say your theory held up?
yeah,
Just all the same food every time, and mostly dry turkey because they make it at home instead of.
there's some other good stuff. Like I love stuffing.
I was gonna say, here's the thing. I love mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, twice baked potatoes. Oh my gosh.
What are twice baked potatoes?
Bro, you take a potato, you scoop it out, you like mash it up, you throw like onions, cheese, salt, pepper, you put it back in the potato skin.
Oh,
And
And then you bake
it.
that little goodness.
that's cool.
Twice baked potato.
That's cool. That sounds great.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I do like mashed potatoes as well and stuffing. The pie 90 or the pie. That's another story. The turkey 90% of the time dry and not like seasoned enough. They like put gravy on it. It's like I'm not gonna put gravy on everything, even though people do. And
That's what you're supposed to do, bro.
yeah, and anyway, and pie is my least favorite dessert. So
Okay. I think you have an argument.
You do
If you lined up all the meats, I wouldn't be taking turkey out first.
True, but turkey pesto sandwich I'll take all day, every day.
turkey in a sandwich is great.
and a turkey bacon avocado. Both of those are like go-to sandwiches for
And
me.
a turkey Lunchable. Come on.
Oh yeah, you can't go with the ham, bro. You gotta go with the turkey or
Turkey's like
pepperoni,
refined. Yeah, it's like the rich kid's Lunchable, though.
Have you ever had a turkey leg at Disneyland?
No.
I haven't either. I wonder if it's just a quantity thing. Yet again, people freak out about Disneyland and everything that entails it.
Bro.
I
That's
think it's
true.
more
Churros?
novelty.
Mediocre there. I've had a better churro. All y'all
It's
can
just
fight
because
me
it's
with
a
that.
Disney churro. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of DJ's attitude about Thanksgiving, we hope all you enjoyed your Thanksgiving.
Yeah. This is a 3 a.m. podcast. We tell first and second hand scary stories and make jokes about them. And we're just, we're best friends. Love these guys. So, my name is DJ,
My name's Charlie.
My name is Sean.
and you made it.
Yeah.
You made it through Black Friday. You made it through Thanksgiving. You made it through Cyber Monday.
Guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, download it, review it, like it. Helps, goes a long way.
Subscribe.
Honestly, yeah. Tell a friend. That's a big one.
That's a huge one.
Anything else? I think that's all we have to say on that.
I was in Portland for Thanksgiving with the in-laws. It was
Yeah.
awesome. We did a hike in the snow up Mount Hood.
That looked dope.
And I debated on whether or not telling you this for a long time because it sounds so stupid. But legitimately, we were hiking up this path way out in the Pacific Northwest wilderness, which if you've been there, it's dense, right?
Right.
It's snowing. It's near Mount Hood. And I get separated from my entire group because I want to take a ton of photos just in case we need them. And up the path, my wife calls my name twice, really loud. So I'm facing up the path and I can hear her calling me. And I yell back like, I'm right here, I'm taking photos. And I start walking. And then like half a second later, she calls my name from the left of me. And I was like, I just smiled because I was like, this is stupid. Like, this is stupid. This isn't real, right? And I just started running and I ran up to her. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to bring it up, but I was like legit creeped out for a second.
So if you have any stories about mimics in the Pacific Northwest, let us know.
But I was like, there's no way this is happening right now because like that's our thing. And I was like, even if I tell them, they won't believe me. But I swear on everything. I was standing there and all of a sudden I was like, terrified.
Would you say you have a good sense of orientation?
Hella good sense. A way good sense, yeah.
I think we all do in our group,
I would say Sean's number one.
for sure.
If you take Sean to a place once, doesn't matter how confusing it is, he will be able to get back there. Me, it's like once or twice. I go by like visual landmarks. So as long as I can like see something, I can get back.
Yeah.
Makes it tough to get anywhere on the Great Plains. You're like,
Well, there's
more
grass
corn.
this way.
Dope.
I don't know if that was a legitimate experience, but it was creepy nonetheless.
That is creepy.
I was like, maybe it's an echo. I don't know.
You could get that around the Mount Hood Forest, National Forest.
By the time you guys hear this, it'll be long past Thanksgiving. Probably closer to Christmas than it is Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But a few episodes ago, we covered a topic about Hatman. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
I have an update.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
we released that episode, and somebody messaged us, and they said, Hatman is very much a real thing. Because I've ran into Hatman a few times in my life. And the last time I was in my early 20s. I think this person is in their late 20s now, so about our age. And she said I was visiting a friend in Los Angeles. We were getting ready for the night. She left the house for a bit to go run some errands while I was in the shower at somebody else's house. So the scene set up perfectly, just totally isolated.
In some place you don't know.
Someplace you don't know, yeah.
Dude, showering at not your shower is already like
I know,
a little
right?
upsetting.
So she finishes showering. She comes out. She's in her towel, and all the lights are off in the house. And down the hallway, she sees a tall shadow. He's wearing a coat, and he has a hat,
Like one of the
flat brim?
yeah. And she realized this as she was already walking down the hallway, and he was walking towards her.
No.
I don't like that.
Dude, when you get scared, how do you usually react? Like when you get deeply scared.
For me, I always try to calm myself and like take a step back and like think about what's going on, what's around me, like what I need to do next,
Yeah.
rather than like dwell on like, oh no, I want to get murdered. It's tough.
I usually like yelp and straight go into a kung fu stance. Every time I'm like,
I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, but I'm always Arthur meme with like my fist cocked back, like, yeah, ready to punch someone.
Dude, when I heard Yelp, I just thought of review. I was like, you review them?
I
Like,
grab
what
my phone and I just complain about a restaurant.
Wait, so Hatman is walking towards her, and they pass each other.
What?
He like passes her and continues walking towards the bathroom, and she was too freaked out to look back, so she like runs out of the house. I think she's still in her towel, and she like shuts the door and just stays outside. She's like calling her friend. She's like, come back right now, like.
Oh.
So our friend came back, checked the house, nothing there. I don't know how else you can disguise something passing you in a hallway.
What do you mean?
Like,
How could that be like faked?
yeah.
Like how you can explain that away in your head.
Yeah, like, oh, that had to have been like a...
Either, yeah. I don't know.
You said it was dark.
Enough where she could see the hallway, like the bathroom lit up the hallway,
Okay.
you know? Like this right here. If we open the door, you can clearly
Yeah,
see
you can
what's in the
see-
hallway with
yeah,
the
yeah,
light
yeah.
in here. But
That one's a tough one, yeah.
that's all she had.
She's alive to tell you that story.
Yeah. So that story comes from Jamie. She's actually, I think you guys have seen her on the Instagram. One of
Damn.
our day oneers almost.
For real though. She a
So-
real one.
Shouts
Dude,
out.
that's hella scary, Jamie.
That's all I have in by way of updates.
All right.
Do I have a question? Question time.
From Aaron. So he said, you're laying in bed home alone at 3 a.m. What sound will be the scariest thing to hear at that time? Damn, I'm going to redo that. So the question is, you're lying at bed. Can you do it? So you're in your
Right?
bed. No, you're lying in your bed at 3 a.m. What would be the scariest sound to hear?
Okay.
Right now, it would be the sound of Jordan coughing outside my room. I'd be like, the fuck?
That would be terrifying.
Did you hear how in China, like a few people have
The Black Plague.
Black Plague?
Gosh,
It's come
yeah.
back. So
The thing is, we're worried that like Jordan's gonna get it, but he might be the one who gave it.
like he's had it,
Yeah.
and so do
Just
we,
a
but we just don't know
carrier.
yet. Yeah. He's the host.
Patient zero.
For me, I don't know why. Maybe I heard it in a dream or just made it up in my mind growing up. But the scariest sound manifested itself when I saw the movie Us.
Ooh.
It's the way the mom talks. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Just like
It sounds so dumb when I do it, but like the way she speaks in that is like that's it.
So like a raspy
I'm
inhale.
hearing it finally, like for real, and I hate everyone. But yeah, if somebody starts talking to me like that.
you're
What?
like, go. Leave right now. I don't want to talk to you.
What if you heard like Pennywise say, "Hiya, Sean"?
I'd be like, who the is that?
Also, Sean's not scared. Okay, that's not a good one. Let's think of another one. We've talked about it before, but it would be very scary to hear yourself
True.
talk to you.
Remember, we're up in Salt Lake, right?
Uh-huh.
And we were going to that. What were we going to find? It was up that long road that followed the
Was
river.
it Kay's Cross?
No, it wasn't Kay's Cross.
Oh, behind,
Like Park.
like by the Capitol,
Yeah, right by the Capitol.
where we tried to shine the flashlight and see the silhouette of the
Yeah,
girl.
that's what it was. And we were like coming back, and that's when we were asking, like, what would be the scariest thing for you to run into right now?
Well, explain what that place is.
I think it's called Memorial Grove.
That's what it is.
And
It's right near the Capitol in Salt Lake. Super pretty.
it's a really cool park. Closed at night. The gates are open. You can still walk through them.
Yeah.
But the gate to like drive through is closed. But if you go all the way to the back of the park, there's like a dirt road, and you follow that road until you go until like the road starts curving.
And you're in a canyon and it's rural. Like there's a nice groomed park, but like DJ said, you get to this dirt road and all of a sudden it's like you're in the wilderness.
Yeah, people I think like jog or like take their dogs there
Yeah.
like during the day. But yeah, it's like a dead end. Like there's no through traffic really, like especially at night. So we're walking there, and the legend is some girl was murdered there, and if you shine your flashlight, like a really bright one, and let your eyes adjust, turn it off, and you should see her silhouette like standing in front of you. So we tried it a couple of times.
In a couple different spots, too.
And we went back for a second time and tried it.
No go.
Neither of them worked, and we didn't see anything. So
Here's the thing. We're not going to lie to you guys and make up that we saw something.
Yeah.
Didn't see it. Sorry. Check that off the list. But
I'm glad we tried it. But
wasn't there a body actually found there?
yeah.
Like
I
a
feel
year?
like, yeah.
Yeah. So after the first time that I went, you weren't there. You were there that first time.
Yeah.
Our homie Nolan was there. Janelle was there.
Yeah.
And I think one or two other people, maybe Jordan.
Yeah, actually, I think Jordan was there, too.
Yeah. So we tried it the first time. Granted, we only had iPhone flashlights. We didn't really plan. So it wasn't super strong. Second time we went back, we had a strong flashlight.
Yeah.
Still didn't work. But that first time, tried it, didn't work.
So did
And-
you use your camera or the flashlight app?
The flashlight app, of course.
Real quick, the flashlight had been installed into the iPhone for at least 3 years at this
iOS
point.
2?
Yeah, yeah. And it took 3 or 4 years for it to be on all of those phones for Jordan to realize that he didn't have to download a flashlight app anymore.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, I look over and Jordan, I'm like, dude, like turn on your flashlight. He's like, okay. And I see him swipe up and open an app and I'm like,
That was like the time where like the cool apps were the ones where you had like beer or water and you would like drink it. Do you remember those?
Dude, my one was when you had the gun and you're all,
Cock it back.
bang,
and
bang,
shoot.
bang.
Bang, bang. It's like,
We've advanced so far.
I know, we
3
really
years.
have. Like the year before those apps, like we were all using like Blackberries.
Flip phones.
Anyway, yeah, so we went to the park. Nothing happened. Not much longer after that, it was on the news on KSL,
Yeah.
and somebody was murdered and like a body was found.
Wait, after you went there the
It
first
was
time?
between the first and the second. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, a couple months after or so. But
That's wild. I thought it was like 20 years ago or something.
No.
Well, the girl, was a while ago, but somebody else died too.
I know. We've probably talked about this before, but one of my biggest fears about hiking or running is coming across a dead body. How do you think that would affect you guys? Yes.
I don't know.
I feel like I'd first off just be like, what the F? Start getting really paranoid. Like, what's around me? Start making sure I'm the only one there.
Oh.
And then call it in. I don't feel like I would have any effect after that, though.
Do you know what sucks about that? You are the number one suspect for quite a while till they clear you.
Yeah.
But then if they find out somehow that you were there and didn't call in, then you're like triple suspicious.
I didn't see it. What?
A body? What?
That's all. Your footsteps walk right up to it, around it, and then away. And you're like, what? That was me? I know someone who told me, I'm not going to name them, but they were like, dude, I would love to find a body. And I was like, what? That's creepy.
What? Did they say why?
I don't know. They were like, I don't know. It's just interesting to them. They're like super into true crime. So, but I'm not about it. Yikes. I have a good one. Scariest. Okay, so you wake up in your bed and it's pitch black and you hear a recording of a baby crying.
You know it's a recording.
Yeah, it's like a metallic or like a digital recording.
Is it like a recording or like a baby monitor?
Recording. That would be pretty scary.
It would be either way. It would be
because it
scary.
tells you like three things immediately.
First of all, there's a baby,
But it's like not a real baby. It's someone trying to mimic a baby through a recording.
I would immediately lock everything, grab all the kitchen knives.
Wolverine it.
Yeah.
Just the butter knives, though. That would be pretty scary. I would have to find out where the recording was coming from.
I know where you're going, though.
Where?
Take it.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah, I just thought that would be creepy.
Oh,
Where did you think he was going?
okay. Recently, in the past, I don't know. I don't know exactly where the data was gathered from, but apparently people have been breaking into houses using that method.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yes. So there was like a huge, this is going to make it sound lame because it's from the internet and from Instagram, but it went super viral. I can't even remember what the title of the post was, but it was like a compilation of like things to watch out for when you're like home alone. And it got like a couple million likes on Instagram. One of the things was there's been a ton of reports of people hearing like children crying right outside their window or their door. Some people unfortunately opened up to it and didn't realize that it was somebody who had a recording of it and playing it, and they broke in to the house. I thought that's where you were going. Somebody sent us that on our Instagram, like that post. So that's how I saw it. And then I saw that like a bunch of my friends had liked it or shared it on their stories.
We should see if there's any legitimacy behind it, because that's like an old folklore urban legend. Because the first time I heard that, I was like 12. And my cousin said someone was killing people that way in Las Vegas. So it makes sense. And maybe multiple people have done it, but
Maybe
that's
it
an easy
cycles,
thing
too.
to do. Like, it's not far-fetched idea.
yeah.
Like, everybody has a recording thing on their phone now and
Pull
can
up
use that to
YouTube.
lure people. Yeah. So that's so wild.
Yeah. Be
But-
careful out there.
That would immediately, if I heard that, I feel like you can safely assume that there's like someone who is going to like a not okay level to scare or to like entice you or something. You know what I mean? Like
How would you know it's a recording, though?
you can hear like a ping to it or something.
Like a white noise to it?
Possibly,
You
yeah.
can't-
Tape
recording?
because like
But some like technology's so good now. Plus, when you're hearing it on the other side of a wall and it's in the middle of the night, like, I don't know.
disoriented.
Okay, then maybe even then though, I would be like,
I mean,
Why
first
is
of
there
all,
a
you
child
check in
crying?
the friggin' hole on your door.
what
But-
hole in your door?
Yeah, the little freaking
People.
peephole.
Oh, front door. Okay.
The
Yeah, yeah.
people.
That makes sense.
Anyway, either or, it's all kind of scary because even if it is a real kid, it's like, what are you doing here and why are you crying?
Go away. We don't want any kids here.
Cry over there.
Cry to hell. That's a fun one.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's see what we tell stories in. Roll.
2.
Oh, dude, boy. Oh,
20.
Oh, crit!
Whatever. 16.
Okay, me first, then Charles, then Sean. We usually roll our 20-sided die to determine the order of who tells their story first. Highest goes first. Being that I got a 20, that's me. So, this story takes place in Taiwan.
Ooh.
And some of the background behind this and some of like the culture, I double checked it with one of like my best friend growing up, his younger brother, who's also a really good friend of mine. He lived in Taiwan for 2 years and he's fluent in Mandarin.
So is Taiwan a part of China?
That's a very political question.
Oh,
They're
well,
kind of
I mean, like physically.
Oh,
Like, is it mainland China or is it?
oh no.
No.
It's its own island. Taiwan is an island right off of China.
And is Hong Kong in Taiwan?
No. Hong
No.
Kong is in mainland, like in not mainland, but it's in China. Like no, geographically,
It's part of
it's
mainland
part of
China.
China.
Oh,
Almost like the Vatican, like Rome, like
Okay.
Vatican City.
Okay, I think I mixed those up. I thought Hong Kong was the island or something.
Hong Kong has like islands
I'm an idiot.
that are part of it, but like it's all part of.
Yeah.
It's
like-
connected to mainland China.
Yeah.
So Taiwan is an island separate from China, and
Not. It's crazy. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I couldn't give you all the right answers on that, but this takes place in Taiwan. I checked some of the background of the story, and he confirmed a lot of it. So I'll get to that when I get to that. But this person who wanted to remain nameless was hitting up a night market. There's a lot of shops, a lot of food places, and while they were waiting there for, I think, some friends, decided that he wanted to go to an internet cafe for a little bit to kill some time. So he's walking through the market and he sees this medium-sized building. It's about 6 stories tall. And he sees the sign for the internet cafe in there. So he walks up to the building, opens the door, and the whole first floor is dark and kind of dirty. And there's a hallway that's lit up in the middle, and it leads to an elevator. And by the looks of it, from what he could tell, the building looked like old and kind of unkept, which wasn't super like uncommon in Taiwan, or at least a part of the city that he was in. But he decides to walk in. He goes to the hallway and he opens the elevator. He walks in and he immediately notices how the elevator feels like brand new and like a nice building. He thinks that's strange, but he doesn't pay too much attention to it. He just wants to get to the internet cafe. And he looks at the buttons and he notices that it goes 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And in Taiwan, 4 is the bad luck number. Because 4 in Mandarin, which is what they speak in Taiwan, or I think is the national language or is the most used language there, because I know there's Taiwanese as well. But 4 in Mandarin at least is 四. And
四
death in Mandarin is 四.
四
Yeah, there's a dip in it. Super closely related. So culturally, it's almost like our 13th floor, or the 13th number. There's some buildings and hotels where they just skip the number 13.
Yeah.
There might be a 13th floor, but they don't have the button for 13, So this one, there was actually 6th floor. So there is a 4th floor, but there were only 5 buttons. So he thinks it's kind of weird that there isn't a 4th floor button, but it's not uncommon because he knows that 4 is a bad luck number. In fact, my cousin who lived in Taiwan, he said he lived in a couple apartments where they did have a 4th floor with the 4th floor button, and every time he lived on those floors, like rent was cheaper.
Whoa,
like management was like, yeah,
nice.
we're like rent, we make it cheaper for the 4th floors just a little bit because it's like those floors are bad luck. Like that was the culture there. So he looks at like the directory next to the buttons and sees that the internet cafe is the 6th floor, top floor. So he hits the 6th floor button and he whips out his phone, not paying attention. Elevator stops, door opens, and he starts walking out. And he looks up and it's like a single occupancy building because he can see almost like the whole floor. So it's not super big, but it's pitch black besides the light from the elevator that's lighting it up. And from that faint light like coming out of the elevator into that part of the floor, he can see that there's some furniture there and there's like white sheets draped over them. And it's dusty and dirty. There's trash everywhere. And it looks like people haven't been there for years. He thinks it's super strange. Again, his eyes are still adjusting to the dark because the light that he's like operating off of is just from the elevator behind him. When he realizes that, there's no internet cafe here, he sees somebody walking in a gown and veil. So this freaks him out.
Like a bride?
That's what I'm picturing.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
But that's all he wrote, So he beelines it back to the elevator, looks and sees that none of the lights are lit up on the buttons, and looks at the number at the top, and there is no number there. And he's like, well, I'm not at the 6th floor yet. So he like hits the 6th floor, light turns on, and he's like mashing the close door button. And it's going chick, 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 chick. And the lights in the elevator turn off. And he hears and the door closes. And he's in pitch black.
Inside the...
elevator.
If you say he hears a noise in there, I'm walking out.
The elevator jolts, starts moving. And right before the doors open up and it starts slowing down, the light turns on. He's by himself. And when the door opens, he sees a floor filled with computers. And he sees the internet cafe and he walks out. And he goes to the front desk, and while he's paying for computer time or internet time, he says to the girl working at the desk, he says, hey, has anybody...
Hey, random question.
Hey, real quick. So...
Is anyone getting married today?
Has anybody experienced... And then he shares his experience that he had seconds ago.
Also, where's your bathroom?
Yeah, I gotta change my clothes.
My panties.
My panties, yeah. That was a weird thing to say.
I know.
I don't know why we resorted to that out of all underwear. But he asks her, and her face like turns to ash. Like she's just like white. And after he tells his experience, she says, yes, some of the workers here and some of the people who are regulars at this internet cafe have had their fair share of stories. And she says, years ago, the 4th floor used to be a beauty salon, and one of the master estheticians that worked there, for some reason, killed herself. The way she did it is she slit her wrists and bled out in one of the sinks. After that, they tried to clean it up and continue business, but weird things started happening from things moving, like people would set down, I don't know, a hairdryer.
Esthetician tools.
Yeah. And they would find them like in other places of the room. Like after a while, like they go to the bathroom, come back and it's moved. And like that just sounds like a troll. But there were several accounts of people getting their hair washed in the sink, and then the color red would run out of their hair into the sink. And that happened multiple times. So after all these weird things started happening, they started losing business, and then they finally went out of business. The owner of that 4th floor tried multiple times to sell it to different companies. And every time a company took residence on that 4th floor, they were never successful in their business and weird things were happening. Ultimately, nobody was taking it. So it's just a vacant lot right now. And after that happened, the person who owned the whole building had the elevator technician come in and change the elevator so you couldn't go to the 4th floor. There's no button to go to it, and change it so that the elevator wouldn't stop at the 4th floor. But people are still running into the 4th floor and having weird experiences, such as this man who had submitted his story. But the rest of the night, nothing else happened.
I know who the killer is.
Yeah, it was herself.
It's the elevator technician. He wrote a way in to where he can make it stop there. So every once in a while, he's probably living on the 4th floor, free of rent. And just to make sure that no one comes, like once a month, he stops someone there, puts the veil on, gets on his Heelys and glides towards them. And then he's like, cool, I'm good for another month. They're going to be scared. It's him, bro.
I thought you were talking about the girl. You were
Yeah, I know.
We're like, what?
No. I said she said suicide.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this Epstein thing.
Oh, shit.
Damn. Oh. But that's the story of the internet cafe in Taiwan.
The truly scary thing is probably what he looked up on the internet cafe in Taiwan.
Oh, gosh.
Everything there's the dark web.
Yo, what would you do, though? Like, the elevator doors open, dark room, lights are out in the elevator now, like on the buttons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see the dead bride, what is your first thought?
Like pre-seeing. Well, he said he was pretty distracted walking out on his phone.
Right.
I could potentially do the same thing. I could see me doing the same thing. But the second I would be like at a level 80 the whole time, I see her, I'd be like, holy crap, get into the elevator, press the button. I'd be 80, 90. But the second that the lights turned off and I can hear the thing like gliding towards me, dude.
I would start moshing in the elevator. Just like trying to punch everything inside.
Did you ever see that Japanese game show where
Yes.
the people get in the elevator and they open the side
That's
panel
what
with a little kid?
Dude, I would cut my wrist into a sink if that happened.
Bro, I'm swinging on a little kid if I see that.
I'd be like, excuse me, where's your nearest sink?
Esthetician.
And do you have a serrated blade with you?
I'd like to order one suicide.
Damn, dark.
Oh, shit.
Dude, but honestly, yeah, I would just start mosh pitting. You're right. That's the only logical thing to do.
Yeah.
I'd jump in my corner. I'd strike my kung fu pose.
Asian game shows, man. Or pranks. Like the elevator one.
Next revel.
I'd be waiting to be like, okay, where are the cameras? Like,
And then there's no cameras. Just all of a sudden it's the Grudge in here.
but yeah. Yeah, the most terrifying part was the elevator to me.
I hate it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, if the elevator closed on him and left while he was on the floor, like, at least he would have space to run
Yeah.
Jump out
or
the
jump
window.
out the window.
So I mean, moral of the story: just take the stairs, dude.
Dude, yeah, because
Moral of the
elevators
story,
are a little
healthier
creepy.
option.
It's good
Take
for your
the
heart
stairs.
and for your soul. Take the
And
stairs.
probably your life in some situations.
I liked that story.
Spoopy.
You have any mo?
Not right now.
Okay. Cool.
It's your turn, boy.
All right. So last week, at least I think it was last week, you asked a question, DJ, and you asked, did you guys ever have any imaginary friends growing up? So did you ask it for any reason or just?
No, just out of curiosity. I didn't have any imaginary friends.
I didn't have any friends.
Yeah, I didn't have any friends either. We talked about that. 'Cause I was the only child. so.
Zero friends, imaginary
For a while.
or real. Cool. Well, this story takes place in the 70s. So the person who submitted this story, it actually happened to his brother a couple years before he was born. But he has since confirmed it with both his dad, mom, and brother. So this takes place back in the 70s, in the winter months. So one day, this person's mom and one of her best friends, they're home with his brother, whose name is Tom. And Tom is like asleep. He's pretty young. He's 8 years old, and the mom and the friend are just, relaxing. I think they're having some wine, and they decide to play with a Ouija board.
Nope.
And the dad's away. He's like working or running errands. And they start playing with it. And after a while, it really starts creeping them out. Like the whole vibe changes and they don't want to play anymore. So they close it up and they put it away. 2 nights later, Tom gets a visitor.
Nope.
So 2 nights later is when this all like really starts. But a young boy starts visiting him. And this boy is super insistent that Tom be his best friend. And at first, Tom didn't really understand what was happening, and he would tell his parents, and they thought it was just some normal imaginary friend type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes this little boy would show up and Tom could see him, and sometimes he would only be able to hear him. So he'd be in the room talking to him, couldn't see him. And so it kind of escalated, and this kid is just super insistent that Tom be his friend. Tom does his best to ignore him. And they, like I said, they thought it was pretty normal stuff until eventually Tom starts getting scratches, bruises, and even chunks of his hair missing.
What?
And so,
This is like Danny
what's that?
from The Shining. Is that his name?
Oh, yeah.
Gets the bruise on his neck.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
A hickey from the old lady.
That's scarier than what I thought. Damn, that's terrifying. Well, yeah, so the parents now are like really concerned. And what really scares them is he hasn't wet the bed in years. He's 8 years old and he starts wetting the bed. So they know like something is up. Like he's really stressed. Until one day, the mom is in another room and she can hear her son and he's talking to someone. And it's like a little kid argument. And basically, Tom is telling someone to go away, leave me alone. And she's like listening and she thinks it's kind of interesting until it escalates. And Tom yells like, leave me alone,
Mom yells out the room, shut up.
both of you.
You are alone.
So the mom hears this conversation. It's escalating. He's showing up with bruises. And then very soon after that, even like the next day, the mom's cleaning Tom's room and she's putting his clothes away and she opens his closet. And hanging from the bar is a perfectly made noose.
Oh,
And it's made out of Tom's clothes. So for any mother to see that, she gets super upset, grabs it and she takes it into Tom and she's like, why did you do this? And she's showing him. And Tom's like, I told you, it's not me, it's him. And no matter how many times she asked, like, why'd you do this? He just kept saying, it's him. And he's bawling, right? Dad comes home. They explain what's happening. And basically right away, they move out. They get out of there. Second they leave, Tom stops. He never sees him again. Never sees the kid again. Never talks about him again. No more scratches, no more bruises. Stops wetting his bed. So it doesn't follow him.
Right.
And then several years later, what?
Just thought of the movie It Follows. But this time
Just
is
slowly
It Stays.
It doesn't follows.
It stays.
What a boring
That's the
movie.
sequel, dude.
They move out. Ghost is like, damn it.
Well, I tried.
I'll wait till the next person moves in.
Lazy hauntings. Yeah, well, luckily for them, it stays. Until a couple years later, the mom runs into someone who used to live near them when they lived in that house. And they just got talking and the topic came up. And the mom said, do you know like anything about this house? And the person said, yeah, I know the original owners. And explained that the people who owned it back in the 50s,
How far away did they move?
I think
Like next door?
no, to across town. She
But
said,
that person knew the owners of that house they came from?
yeah.
That's super coincidental.
She said, it said that she
It was
ran
a
in.
former neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And she was taking an art class and this person
Oh.
was in the art class.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That makes sense.
yeah, okay. So she ran into this lady in an art class she was taking who happened to live on the same street as her back in the day and knew the original owners of the house and told her back in the 50s, the original people who owned the house, culminated in a murder-suicide. So the person who owned it killed its family and then killed himself.
Did they say how or give any details?
Nope. But, yeah. I mean, they grew up, nothing else ever happened, and this guy talked to his dad, had it all confirmed, talked to his brother, had it all confirmed.
That's pretty creepy.
The noose.
Dude, if I saw that, I'd be like, what is this half-ass noose here? Let me show you how to do a real noose.
Sean's like, no, this knot is too loose. Yeah, so luckily none of us had imaginary friends.
But real talk, if your kid did, at what level you're like, okay, that's cool. You have an imaginary friend, and the fuck are you doing?
I actually, now that I think of it, I remember I did have some imaginary friends.
Repressed memories?
I was about 3 or 4, and at the time, I liked Peter Rabbit. So like Peter Rabbit and all his like bunny friends were like my homies. So I like run around with like the cork gun in my yard. I'd be like, let's go, bunnies.
Follow me, bunnies.
My army of rabbits.
Hey.
But I didn't that.
Did they try to kill you?
Remember,
They didn't try to strangle you?
They were all homies, dog.
Oh, nice.
So as far as I can remember, it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Right, guys?
I hate you. Right, bunnies. DJ Tonight's apologizing to him. I'm sorry. I had to tell him that you didn't exist. I love you. Yeah, because either way, if there is an entity that's like threatening your child, not cool.
Yeah, and you want to take that seriously.
If there isn't, and your child is fashioning nooses and pissing on himself and pulling his hair out, concerning still. So
Both are a problem.
yeah,
Dang.
cool. All right, I have another quick one. All right, so this takes place in Pennsylvania, and this guy who submitted it said that him and his friends decided to go and explore a cave. And they were pretty stoked. This cave was pretty cool. So they had heard the way to get into it, it was a small hole in the ground, probably like 12 to 18 inches wide, a hole. And it was at the base of a tree.
Is this Nutty Putty? We're going
It
back
was
to
called
that cave?
Nutty Putty Cave. Muddy Buddy Cave.
Well, I've never heard of that.
No, this was in Pennsylvania. I don't think it had a name. That's how like little known it was. So they were pretty stoked. And it's this tiny little hole at the base of a tree. You have to sit down, grab a root, and like slide in.
Oh, like feet first?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Like the slide at like McDonald's, but into an underground Viet Cong system.
Exactly. So they get in. They're with like 8 to 12 people, and they're exploring for about a half an hour.
Wait, so this is a pretty extensive cave system.
I think so.
Okay.
It's over in Pennsylvania, and
They got plenty of caves out in there.
right. So 30 minutes in, he gets a tap on his shoulder
Oh, wait, what?
From his brother?
from his good friend Dan, who's
Oh.
behind him.
Oh, frick. I thought he was by himself.
No, he's with 8 friends.
What? I'm just missing all the facts here.
Let me start over for DJ.
Okay, he's with his friends.
He's with like
His
8 to 12 friends.
This was me.
Yeah.
In
With-
his Pennsylvania Nutty Putty.
He had a cork gun. Okay,
This is fantastic, Mr. Fox.
start over for those listening, because I don't know. Pennsylvania, a group of 8 friends exploring a cave, very small opening. They explore it for 30 minutes when he gets a tap on his shoulder from his friend Dan.
Okay.
And he turns around, he's like, it's kind of weird because his friend, like, furtively taps on his shoulder. And he looks back at Dan, and Dan is like, dude, he whispers, dude, look at the ceiling. Tells him to look at the ceiling. And he slowly looks up. And he sees the ceiling, and it's a stone ceiling, right? And he sees thousands and thousands of spiders
Oh, hell no. Dude.
covering the ceiling. And Dan says, like, don't say anything. And he understands Dan doesn't want to tell the group because if he tells them, they're all going to freak out. And it's going to be a way worse situation.
Yeah.
So the guy, like, his heart's racing. He's trying to, like, play cool, but he's just, like, looking at the ceiling. And as hard as they tried, as best as they tried to keep it a secret, ultimately, everyone in the group looks up. And they all just go dead silent.
But
And he says when they go dead silent, they're all sitting there horrified, staring at the ceiling. You could hear the spiders walking. That's how many there were. So all of them are sitting there staring at the ceiling, and no one could barely move. And the worst thing is, in order to get out of the cave, they have to reach up through the ceiling, grab a root, and pull themselves up through a hole that is covered in spiders' nests and spiders.
shit, dude.
So they go back to the opening, and our friend has to be the last one. And everyone in the group gets out, and they're freaking out. And there's two girls who refuse to do it because you have to get your face within inches of all of these spiders. And after long amount of time, they finally muster up the courage, and they jump up. Someone has to grab them and pull them, and they just go.
Yeah.
And until finally he's alone in the cave, and he reaches up, his friend grabs him and just pulls him up, and he just sees the spiders like right by his face as he passes. And so they get out of the cave, and forever, when they first heard of the cave, they were wondering why they had never heard of it before. And he's like, we now know why we had never heard of it before. And furthermore, they looked it up, and it's off limits in the fall because of rattlesnakes.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently it just fills up with rattlesnakes. So he was like, F that cave, dude.
Well, hopefully no one listening to this has arachnophobia. Or what is the one for snakes?
A snake-nophobia.
Snakeophobia.
Snake-nophobia.
Slitherinophobia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, where was Aragog in all of this?
For real, dude. Did they start getting bigger as they went further into the cave?
And then this Ford Angler came out of the forest and ran over all the spiders. This blue Ford Angler.
Just the real MVP.
Yeah. Anyway, kind of a different scary story, but nonetheless terrifying to me.
I'm usually not like. Are there any insects that scare you?
If they're, yeah, I don't like roaches. I don't.
Cockroaches are the most terrifying to me, and centipedes.
I was about to say
Centipedes
centipedes.
are actually scary.
Both of which were a thing in Hawaii growing up. So it's like, we didn't have spiders in Hawaii. There's no snakes in Hawaii, so we didn't really have to worry about that. So nothing else really scares me. There's a lot of geckos. Those are fun to catch in the house. But some people are terrified of lizards
Bunny
or
friends.
things that like squirm, snakes.
I'm not like terrified of spiders. I'll kill them if I see them or try to
Really?
let them
I
out.
always leave spiders because they eat cockroaches or like other insects.
Dude, if they're in my house, I'm letting them out.
If they're like being scary, yeah, I'm killing them.
The-
There was this one time when I was in the Philippines, and in my bathroom, there was a spider that was about 6 inches from end to end, and it was just sitting there.
So imagine cutting my hand off and putting that on a wall.
And putting it on a wall. So the first time I saw it, I was like, holy sh... And it didn't move. So I didn't do anything. I was like, okay, you do you, I'm going to do me. And it stayed that way for weeks. Like it did not move. And then one day I go in there and it's gone. And I was like, this is worse. This is worse. Somehow this is worse. And then I see it running across the floor. I pick up one of those pails from our little showers and smash it like 17 times. I was like, you should have stayed there. We had a truce.
Yeah. You crossed the line, homie.
So once they're scary, then I'll kill it. But like, I mean, I don't mind them if they just do their thing.
For
Right?
the most part, they're pretty harmless and do their own thing.
Yeah.
But
Then they start running across the floor like my hand, like the freaking Addams family.
I remember like in the Philippines being a third world country, there's a lot of people who just walk around and ask for money. Children do it, and they usually do like sing a song, make it cute, So I was living on the island of Negros.
Whoa, bro. Whoa.
And super beautiful. Super beautiful. A lot cooler weather. They had like a lot of American food there. Super green. Cool place. People were friendly. But it was Christmas time. So kids once in a while, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week would like come caroling at our doors, and then they expect you to give them a peso or two or whatever. Yeah. One morning, I get a knock at the door, and I know it's some kid trying to ask for money. And it's just him. Usually there's a big group of them. And he's not singing. I was like, man, you are the laziest beggar out of all of that. But he has his hands behind his back. And he brings his hands out, and he has a tiny garden snake.
Oh.
And he holds it up for me. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And he grabs it, puts it to his nose, and it starts licking the inside of his nose. And I burst out with laughter, and I go grab my wallet.
You have earned it.
5 pesos. Don't tell your friends, though.
Wow, that's a hard one to top.
It was so funny. He like had his like tongue stuck out, and he's like, just as cleaning the rim of his nostrils.
That's so weird.
He's got a snake rim job on his face.
Oh God.
But
That's the type of stuff you were into in the Philippines.
shut up, dude.
Oh gosh.
Did you have anything else?
No, not from this one.
All right.
Oh, Sean, you up?
I got a story. This actually just happened this summer. And to me, it's one of the most terrifying things because I've actively envisioned myself in this scenario and this happened to someone.
That's weird to hear Sean say that something would scare him.
Okay. So this guy whose name is Colin is turning 45. And so for his 45th birthday, he's going to summit a mountain. He goes up to British Columbia, and this mountain is pretty remote. So he first has to take a boat.
I'm sorry. British Columbia is Western Canada?
Western Canada. So this
Like
is
above
just above
Seattle.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So first of all, he has to take a boat to get across this lake to an old logging town where he decides to stay. And then afterwards, he has to take this old logging road. And you know, you've been out in the mountains where there's really just 2 like tire tracks and then a bump in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So he then gets on his mountain bike and he rides this logging road up to another place where he camps.
So he's out there.
He's out there in the middle of nowhere. After he gets to this place where he camps, he goes and summits, comes back down. Everything is still chill. He's thinking about how he's going to celebrate his 45th birthday with his family and all of this. He gets on his mountain bike and starts going down back towards the logging road. As he's going down, he comes around this corner, and 100 yards in front of him is a grizzly bear. And it's just standing there, and it's on the opposite tire track. So he's on
Adult?
as far as he can tell, it's about 100 yards away.
Sure.
And he's on the right side. It's on the left side. And he has to go that way in order to get home. Then all of a sudden, the bear starts slowly just coming towards him.
Freak.
Now, he had bear spray with him, and it had fallen out of his backpack somewhere. So he did not have his bear spray anymore. So as it's coming towards him, he takes out one of his hiking poles and fully extends it to kind of at least
Oh, so he's good. He's good.
Something
got a
in the
stick.
way, right? And it just keeps getting closer, eventually to the point where its head is at the front tire of his bike on the other side of this tire track. And he hops off his bike, so his bike is kind of in the way, at least, and with his pole in the other hand. And it just kind of lowers its head and continues walking. As its butt gets to the back tire, and he thinks he's like home free. He's like thinking, man, it would have been cool to have my camera right now so that I could have filmed a bear walking right by me. And as he has this thought and the bear gets past his bike, it does a 180 turn and just faces him. So he flips the bike around and still has like the
hiking pole.
The hiking pole just kind of out in front of him. And the bear just kind of stands there for a second, then shakes its head and like starts coming towards him.
Freak.
So he like chucks the pole at the bear.
Okay.
And like starts backing away.
Minus 1 hit point.
Takes his backpack off because it has like some food in it. So he thinks maybe throws it at the bear, like not to hit it, but be in front of it so that it'll maybe eat the food. And the bear kind of stops, sniffs it briefly, and then keeps coming. And then starts taking like these whacks at it with his paws. So, or the bear starts taking whacks
swiping
at him and the bike with his paws. And then in an instant, the bear jumps at him and like bites him around his abdomen and like picks him up. At this point, he like his thought process is, what are you supposed to do? Like in the scenario, there's those emergency guidebooks. So he starts
Stop, drop, and roll. No. Play dead.
Duck and cover. No.
poking it in the eyes.
Oh, okay. Savage.
And then the bear didn't really like that, so it started shaking him and pulls him off to the side of the road. So his like torso is on the road. His legs are kind of hanging off of the road at this point. He's still in one piece.
Okay. I was like,
But he's like half on the road, half not. And the bear just kind of is chewing at him a little bit. At this point, he's just kind of poking at the bear again. And then the bear like drops him and then takes another bite at his thigh. And he said he could just see the yellow teeth of the bear and hear the grinding of his bones as the bear was biting him like a dog chewing on a bone. And at this point, he remembers a pocket knife that his dad had given to him that was a little like off-brand junk pocket knife. He starts reaching for it. He grabs it.
Off-brand.
Yeah, so not like
great value pocket knife.
Yeah, like
now,
that
bro,
one you
Kirkland,
get from
dog,
like
like
Shasta. Dr. Pibb.
He finally gets it out of his pocket and just like shoves it up into the chest of this bear. And the bear kind of stops and like bites down again, and so he stabs it in the neck. And then all of a sudden the bear just starts like bleeding. He could just see a stream coming out of this bear.
he hit an artery.
Maybe. The bear lets go, starts walking off, and he's just like laying on the ground. And he says he remembers the thought of, now you're bleeding too, and don't run away so fast. I want to keep stabbing you.
Oh, gosh.
Those are the thoughts going through his mind at this point. And then eventually, as this bear gets out of sight, he kind of crawls over to back to his bike. He still has to get down to this logging town and then across. No, he said there were people in the logging town. So he gets on his bike and he has one leg just basically not able to do anything. So he's balancing and then pedaling with the right leg.
Oh,
And eventually, and he said he tried to coast as much as he could, eventually makes it back to this logging town. And they call the search and rescue, and they airlift him out to a hospital, and he survives. They then hunted down the bear. So Forest Services went on a search for the bear. After about a week, they found him. Now, they said that this bear basically played cat and mouse with them for like a week. Like they would find him, and then he'd be gone. And
almost like he's knew he was being pursued.
Like he knew he was being pursued. And they said, based off of their like past experience, they suspected this bear was trying to attack people, which is not normal for bears. But something must have happened to where it was then attacking people. But he said afterwards, he couldn't remember. Maybe it was like a small bear, and that's why he was able to get away. But then they told him, hey, yeah, this is a 4 or 5 year old grizzly bear.
Oh,
it's
so
just
a big
this
boy,
huge animal. Wow. And he survived to tell the tale.
And then he got his Oscar.
Yeah.
You can watch all of this in The Revenant.
It's true. And now we're saving global warming.
Hey. When you were growing up and you had a bike, Did you ever have one with like pedals that were like metal claws for the pedals on the bike?
Oh yeah, and then you would misstep.
And it whip around and hit you in the shin?
Dude, that was the worst.
I bet it felt exactly like that. Then you have to go home with like one leg. You're like so I can relate to this dude.
What I want to know is when you get bit on the side, what do?
Dude,
Where do you put a tourniquet? Like
He did
on
mention-
your neck? Just end it.
no more blood.
He had said it was in his abdomen here. So I don't know, like, he must have missed, like, anything super important. But then he did mention, like, taking off his shirt and making a tourniquet for his leg.
Yo, I'm about to go 100% bro jogging.
Bro
I'm
joking.
about to share some bro science, but this is what I've heard of bears. So bears don't immediately, like they aren't born with an instinct to hunt and kill humans.
Right.
But what can happen is if a bear gets hungry enough, it will try to eat anything, including humans. So we're not like normally their target.
Yeah.
But once they do eat a human or taste human flesh, apparently we taste so good to them that it can turn that bear into a human eater.
I think the same goes for tigers, right?
Yeah. So they will then, after they like taste human, they will specifically target human and want human. So if a grizzly ever does eat a human or attack a human, they have to find it and kill it. Otherwise, it will become a huge problem.
Yeah.
And there is this one bear, you should try and look him up. I don't know how you'd look it up though, but it was a grizzly bear who had attacked and killed so many humans, and people have tried to kill it for so long. When they finally downed it, its head, first of all, was like this big.
I feel like I've heard about this.
And inside its head was like 30 bullets.
Holy cow.
Just pistol bullets and things like that. Like just like lodged into his skull.
This is the actual Terminator.
And so it was like the last, so many people like tried to defend themselves and just got eated by this guy.
Damn.
And his paw was like your chest.
So
Huge.
when I heard this story, like I thought about when I was in Alaska because I went on one hike. I mean, I hiked a whole lot while I was there, but there was one specifically.
And mind all of you out there, Sean went all by himself to Alaska. Sean takes a lot of solo trips, which is cool, but he was hiking in the wilderness of Alaska all by himself.
Did you have bear mace?
I
Bear
had
spray?
bear mace with me. And as I'm hiking through this like wooded, like heavily wooded and like green forest area, I just get this feeling that I should turn around.
Ooh.
And I was like, no, I'm good. And I kept hiking for a solid 10 minutes. And I get this feeling again, turn around. And so I turned around. I don't know, like, because I did a bunch of other hiking the rest of the time. I had the bear mace the whole time. But that hike specifically, I was like, no harm in turning around. I'll go do something else.
Huh. Well, I'm glad you did.
Good on you.
But I've actively like envisioned that scenario and what would happen.
Yeah.
So that when I heard it, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. My cousin Matt, who lives in Australia. The hell?
Everything's trying to kill you down there.
Bro, I just had an aneurysm. No, my cousin Matt, who lives in Alaska, shout out Matt, but he said he's lived there for like 4 or 5 years, and out of the list of everything that he's the most afraid of, grizzlies are like 2 or 3, and number 1 is moose.
Moose will F you up, dude.
He's terrified of moose. He like has heard and seen enough things where like he's like, they are no joke. They will kill you. And we were there and we saw a moose, and all these tourists are like trying to go up and take photos, including me.
Moose are the size of like
Mooses.
Moosing.
like howitzer tanks. Like
Bro. Anyway, that's terrifying.
Yeah, no, I was like getting goosebumps as I was reading this. I was like, this is actually terrifying to me.
All right, so we know what Sean's
Bears.
scary thing is. Bears. Bears. Cool. Well, how you guys feeling?
I feel good.
Cool.
I feel I don't know. What are you supposed to do when a grizzly bear like you're encountered with one? Run
I've heard
and zigzag through trees.
No. So the grizzly bear, you're not. They will catch you.
They're fast. They're like
Yeah.
they can
Yeah, I
run
know they're
40
like-
miles an
yeah.
hour.
Those
But-
are the ones you're supposed to play dead.
Here's what I've heard. You're supposed to play dead. You're supposed to try to cover the back of your neck with your hands and be as limp as you can. But chances are you're dying.
Yeah.
Like you have a 99% chance of dying or something. In the off chance that they leave you, if you play dead, the reason is I've heard they will try to like half bury you because rotten meat is more pungent and tastes stronger. So their thought is, I'll kill you. I'm going to half bury you and I'll come back for you like in a couple days when you're rotting and I'm
Yeah.
going to eat you then. So that's what I've heard.
Huh.
It's like the the black bears that you want to like get big and like scary because they'll run away. But the grizzlies, you're supposed to.
It's funny because
Prey.
sharks.
Or have a big gun.
Earlier, you were talking about like
Poking eyes.
bears and how like once they taste humans, then that's like all they'll try to go for. Sharks are like the opposite. It's like they don't like the taste of humans. Like they can't see very well, so they use their nose and their taste. So when they bite you and they realize, oh, you're not a turtle or
Seal.
a sea lion or a seal, yeah, then they let you go. But most of the time they do let go, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, and sharks get a bad rep too. Just like,
So unfortunate.
yeah.
Like
Shout out
they-
One Ocean Diving for
I know.
keeping us in the loop.
I know.
We went, so like a year ago?
August last year. Every time I go home, I'm from Hawaii. Every time I go home,
Wait, what?
I,
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
for all the noobs out there. But every time I go home, I take a group of friends with me. And I've probably taken like 6 groups. But last year was the first time I took a group shark diving. And it's something that everybody wanted to do. Like we've talked about it for a while. So we went with this company called One Ocean Diving.
Shout out.
And they're really well known around the world for their like conservation efforts with ocean life, especially sharks.
Yep.
And they've been all over the world, like studying sharks. The CEO, her name is Ocean Ramsey. I think she's like sponsored by GoPro. But like, if you've ever seen videos of a girl swimming with like great whites,
Yeah.
that's her.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So that's her company, and we got to go and you swim outside of the cage, and they taught us about like the relationship with like we humans have with sharks and how important it is. And while you're going out like a couple miles out into
the open waters
the
of the
open
ocean.
water, deep blue sea.
It's so weird the color of the ocean. How like this sounds dumb, but like how deeply blue it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I think most people are used to the color of the ocean when you're at the beach, but when you get deep sea, it's all of a sudden like this, just deep blue. And what kind of sharks were they?
Galapagos sharks, I think.
Which are not too dangerous. Right?
Yeah. They average around like 8 feet.
Yeah, but they're still
Some go up to like 12.
sizable sharks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like bigger than any of us,
Yeah.
for sure.
And yeah, they were telling us how it kind of like as we got in, the sharks they lower. So they're below you.
There's a hierarchy. So like the alpha sharks, or the ones who are, I don't know, more powerful or respected in their pack.
Yeah.
I
They just
don't
have
know
the most
exact
street
words.
cred?
Yeah, the most street cred.
And then the
street
humans get
sharks.
in the water.
But they stay higher.
Yeah, they're like above everybody. So there's like levels, like actual levels to them. So when we're there, they're talking about how we have to like be on top of them. We can't turn our backs. We have to maintain like eye contact with the sharks.
Be dominant. Yeah.
Yeah, be the dominant species, and then they respect that.
Yeah.
You know,
It
and
was
they don't chum the waters or anything. It was super like all natural. Like
It was one like an insanely unique and cool experience, but then it was also really educational.
Yeah.
Like they
which
taught
was
you
awesome.
Yeah. But the feeling, like, how did you feel right before getting in? I'm not going to lie. It was like, this is crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the guides who were with us, I think there was maybe 3 or 4, and they're all young,
Yeah.
like our age, and
Okay. Get in.
they're just ocean folk. They're I don't know, but we're going out. They're teaching us about sharks. So hopefully, if you're scared, by the time you get there, you're feeling a lot more comfortable. You understand your role and their role and what to do. And we get there and like, okay, this is the place. And then one of them, they're like, I'm gonna go check it out. And if it's good, then it's your turn. She jumps out. She's swimming around the boat, and she's there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and she gets back on the boat. I was like, all right, everybody jump in the water.
And I think you went first in our group, right?
I might have first or second. I was really excited. At
Oh,
no
no,
point,
it was MJ.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, she went first.
Okay.
Gosh. But yeah, it's like you get on the side of the boat and you're about to jump into the ocean where there are 30 sharks below you. And here's the thing, they're not trained.
Nope.
So it's like, as much as it's like safe, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
And you jump in and you look down in your mask and it's just a huge school of sharks. And they're big too. They're like 6, 7, 8 feet.
So the
At
creepy
least.
thing for me was, okay, you get in the water and the sharks start to go down as more people get in the water. And then as you start to get out, they start coming back towards the surface.
They're like positioning their
Reclaiming their space.
Yeah. So I was one of the last people to get back in the boat from our group. And I was just kind of looking one direction, and I turn around and there's this shark like 30 feet away from me, maybe 3 feet down from me. So they had risen to that level. And at that point I was like, nope, I'm getting back in the boat now. But that was like, it was real at that point. I was like, damn, this is scary.
Real fun.
awesome experience.
I had a blast. It was
It was
beautiful.
way fun.
I swallowed 3 huge mouthfuls of seawater. I got more sick than I've ever been in my life. I got back to shore and I barfed in some bushes, and hella chickens ran up and just started feasting on my barf.
And that's Hawaii.
Yeah.
Mele Kaliki Maka.
Oh, shaka mahalo. Let's get some tacos. Dude, shout out
Sharks.
sharks, shout out bears, shout out nooses,
No. Shout out Taiwan.
shout
Yep.
out the number 4.
Yep.
No.
Wait, what? I don't know if I get this shout out thing. Shout out Plan a Funeral for the imaginary friend story.
Oh, yeah.
And
Shout out Peter Rabbit.
shout out Thousands of Spiders for the second story.
You my homie, Peter.
Dude, all the shout outs.
My bunnies.
Dap me up, boys.
Fist bumps.
Hit me up. We popping.
Also, shout out Aiden, my little brother. So
Shout out.
I know we call Kevin our intern, but it's just kind of a joke. He's not our intern at all. Kevin's just one of our best friends. But Aiden, my little brother, is actually like our first intern. He's doing work for us.
Oh, no.
And he's helping me a lot with the YouTube channel. So he goes through and painstakingly listens to each of our episodes. And he finds when we tell different stories, and he gives me the timestamp so you can just click right to it
Dope.
if you want to click through and listen to specific stuff. So
that amongst other things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the things he's doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
shout out Aiden.
Thanks, Aiden.
You the
Thank
man.
you, Aiden.
Yep. You guys got any?
No,
I'm
I think I'm
good.
good to go. Once again, if you like what you're hearing, find us on Instagram if you haven't already. Give us a follow. Say what's up. We reply to almost every message.
Yeah.
At least try to reply to every message. Subscribe, download, and
Yeah, podcast app. If you could rate, review, or download our episodes, you don't realize how much that helps us. So we really appreciate any of it.
yeah.
Also, subscribe to us. That way you can see when our episodes come out on whatever podcast app you are using.
Yeah. And on YouTube as well.
Yeah, on YouTube.
But either or, we're happy to have you folks. In the meantime, trust your gut and watch your back.
Bye, love you, be safe.
I'm going to change it up. Be careful out there.
Ooh, I like it. Be careful.
Bye bye.
Or else.
Or else grind.